I want you all to think about what you were doing at 18. Learning to drive? Planning that holiday to Magaluf with your mates? Falling in love? At 18, my patient was told they had just months to live and that they'd never walk again. Cancer had crept from their lungs to their bones and into their spine, stealing their movement and bodily functions inch by inch. The unspoken message was clear: stay in bed, keep comfortable. This is the beginning of the end. But that's not what happened. They stood, they walked, they lived. They didn't survive cancer, but they didn't die hopeless. They died being able to move, being able to get to their feet, doing things they wanted to do, things that meant something to them, in control. Physiotherapy didn't save their life, but it gave them something else: freedom, dignity, identity. We prescribe chemotherapy, we prescribe radiotherapy, we prescribe surgery. So why don't we prescribe movement? Why isn't movement and physiotherapy the standard in cancer care when it can redefine what it means to truly live? I'm Tom. I'm the clinical lead physiotherapist for teenagers and young adults at the Christie in Manchester. And I'm here to share why physiotherapy saves futures. Movement is medicine, and in cancer care, it's powerful. In 2019, a review in Medicine and Science in Sports and Exercise found that regular physical activity can reduce the risk of cancer recurrence by up to 50% in breast, colorectal and prostate cancers. Think about that. 50%. That's the same odds as tossing a coin. If you had cancer and somebody said there's something you can do to half the chance of it coming back, would you choose to do it? And that's not a fringe opinion either. It's backed by major trials, like the Challenge trial, a large randomized controlled trial involving over 800 colon cancer survivors. It found that structured exercise reduced recurrence by 28% and lowered risk of death by 37%. Not symptom relief, not just improved quality of life. Survival. That data should stop us in our tracks. The Clinical Oncology Society of Australia published a position statement saying exercise should be prescribed alongside chemotherapy, radiotherapy and surgery. Not afterwards, alongside, as standard. Activity improves treatment tolerance and reduces fatigue, which affects up to 90% of our patients. It enhances sleep quality, improves mental health and immunity. It even helps chemotherapy work better. But the message many patients still hear: take it easy. Rest. Prolonged rest leads to deconditioning, frailty, and fear. Patients don't just lose strength, they lose function. They lose themselves. We'd never treat heart disease or diabetes without movement and activity, so why is cancer still the exception? Movement is safe. Movement is effective. Movement is survival. This is the true power of physiotherapy. Now, imagine you're 18 again. You're working out who you are, who you love, what your future looks like, and then you're told you have cancer. Everything stops. Treatment begins, life is on hold, friends keep moving, but you're stuck. You lose your hair, your energy, your appetite, but worse, you lose your momentum. When you're young, cancer doesn't just attack the body, it hijacks your life. I've worked with young people who finished treatment but couldn't return to uni, sport, or even their friends. One patient said to me, "I survived cancer, but I don't know how to live the rest of my life." We focus so much on survival, but what kind of a life are we helping them to return to? 96% of childhood and adolescent cancer survivors will face at least one severe or disabling chronic health condition. And on average, they live with 17 different health problems. But still, teenagers and young adults fall between the cracks. Too old for pediatrics, too young for typical adult services. Their unique physical, emotional, and social needs are frequently overlooked and misunderstood. Physio helps rebuild more than movement. It helps them rebuild identity. Because walking unaided, carrying your child, or dancing at your wedding isn't just recovery. It's a message. I'm still me. I'm not broken. I have a future. For my patient, the one told they'd never walk again, we started with sitting up, sitting balance, wheelchair transfers, then standing, then a step. And to most people, that sounds small, but when you've been told you'll never walk again, that first step is everything. And here's what people don't realize. Physiotherapy is function, and function is everything. Losing it means losing independence, and that's one of the biggest predictors of long-term mental health decline, social isolation, and hospital readmission. The evidence is clear. Physio can reduce complications, prevent deconditioning, restore independence in daily activities, and reduce hospital stays. The World Health Organization, Macmillan, and the American College of Sports Medicine all advocate for exercise and activity throughout the cancer pathway, not just at the end. Cancer hits young people at the pinnacle of life. Education, relationships, fertility, work. Loss of function here equals a loss of identity. Physio helps young people rebuild strength and movement, yes, but more than that, it helps them rebuild belief. Belief that they can return to study or work, return to their life. Isn't that recovery in the fullest sense of the word? Now imagine a world where physio starts on day one, where every young person at diagnosis meets a physiotherapist, where movement and activity are embedded into care proactively and preventatively, not as a recovery plan, but as part of their care plan. That's the future we need. I've seen what early integrated physio can do. When patients start to move again, they don't just feel stronger, they feel hopeful and human. But across most of healthcare, physio still arrives too late, if at all. And that delay has consequences. We'd never delay chemo for 12 weeks and hope for the best, so why delay physio? Despite all the breakthroughs, evidence, and outcomes, it's still seen as optional. And it isn't. It's essential, profoundly so, for function, identity, for giving young people something to build a life around, not just survive, but thrive. Stephen Hawking once said, "Intelligence is the ability to adapt to change, and cancer changes everything." The smartest systems help people to adapt early, meaningfully, and with intent by giving them the tools to succeed much earlier. We have the evidence and expertise. What we need is the will to rewrite the norm and make movement, activity, and physiotherapy a standard part of cancer care. Because physio shouldn't be an exception. It should be the expectation. I started this talk with the end of my patient's journey. I'll finish with the start of their physiotherapy. When we first met, they were laid flat in bed. No strength, no sensation, no bladder or bowel control, no ability to move unaided, scared, angry, silent. We started with trust and reassurance, then sitting, then balance, then standing, and eventually, one step. Each milestone, seemingly insignificant to others, was monumental to them. They started making choices again, started asking questions, laughing. They stopped dreading hospital visits and started looking forward to physio. Physio wasn't just helping their body recover, it was helping them take back their hijacked life. They walked with me and Azima. They sat in the garden with their siblings. They watched football with their dad. And these things sound small, but they are everything. They are function. They mean I'm still here. I'm still me. They taught me that progress isn't measured in meters. It's measured in meaning. Physio didn't save their life. It gave them something else. It gave them more meaning in the time that they had left. So I'll leave you where I began. We prescribe chemotherapy. We prescribe radiotherapy. We prescribe surgery. It's time that we prescribe movement. Thank you.